Welcome, Gold Derby fans. The Oscar nominations will be revealed on Tuesday, January 24th. Before that happens, we're going to dish on our final Oscar predictions. I'm Gold Derby Senior Editor Denton Davidson, and I'm here with my colleagues Ray Richmond, Marcus James Dixon, and Daniel Montgomery. And let's just go straight to Best Picture. I'm going to announce what our odds are for the top 10, and then we'll talk about if we agree with those or if we're sneaking any spoilers in. Right now in our odds for Best Picture, we have Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, The Banshees of Inisherin, Top Gun Maverick, Tar, Elvis, Avatar: The Way of Water, All Quiet on the Western Front, Women Talking, and The Whale, with a possible spoiler of Babylon. Daniel, how much do you agree with this top 10, and what do you have sneaking in?
I've got 9 out of those 10 in slightly different order in some cases. In my 10th spot, the one I differ is I've taken Women Talking out of my predictions, as much as that breaks my heart, but I'm like, that movie has really got tanked everywhere. It's been eligible, except for the Critics' Choice Awards. It did okay there. It got the SAG nomination, but it got completely blanked at the BAFTAs. Didn't get into the Producers Guild, so I've got Glass Onion in that spot.
Marcus, how about you?
Did you see what Sarah Polley said when she got blanked at the BAFTAs? She's like, it was my fault. I was at the BAFTA tea party and I ate too many scones and sandwiches. So at least I like that she was kind of, making light of it. I have 8 of Gold Derby's top 10. I don't have The Whale and I don't have Women Talking. I do have RRR in my 9th place, and there's such a huge online support for that film. I just wonder how much of that will translate to the Oscar voters. So I'm iffy on that. And then Babylon I have in my 10th place. I might move that up to 9th, actually, now that I think about it, because Babylon is predicted to get, quite a few below the line nominations. So all of that support could bring it up here into the picture race. And a lot of people think it's going to win score as well.
Right?
Yeah, Marcus, I actually agree that Babylon's probably going to win score. Justin Hurwitz, is kind of a Titanic in terms of the Oscars at this point. In terms of the picture, I'm pretty much going straight with the 10 that are our favorites.
Boring.
Yes, I know. I'm completely boring. Although I may change it between now and Tuesday. I still want to put RRR in there. Glass Onions, another possibility. Woman King. I just feel like. I know that Women Talking might not be much of a juggernaut, but I feel like there's a little bit of tokenism at play here too. And I feel like the nominee voters are gonna want to get something with women in the title in the top 10. It's going to look good for them. And it's that arbitrary. But my order is a little bit different. I feel like. Although I think Everything Everywhere is still the top pick all the way around, but I have Elvis in 10th now.
Interesting.
Okay. I have Elvis way up there. I have Elvis in 4th. I think they're gonna love Elvis. But I was a little iffy on The Whale, so I took that one out. I don't have Babylon in either. I think I'm very tempted to put that one in just because I think it will do well below the line. So I might make a switch there. I do have Women Talking in, so I might swap that out for Babylon. And I have The Woman King in. I think that one is a respected movie. There's very little diversity in this top 10, so it's just like I feel like there needs to be something. I would have actually probably went with Black Panther: Wakanda Forever if it wasn't a sequel. I think that movie was so great. And I'm not totally I wouldn't be shocked even if Till got in. Till was a highly respected movie. It got such great reviews from audiences and critics. Whoopi Goldberg produced it. She's a highly respected member of the Academy. Danielle Deadwyler is for sure getting in. So something like that I could see the Academy getting behind that maybe BAFTA wouldn't. So I think those last two spots could go a lot of different ways, but you can't go wrong with our odds either. Best director.
Wait, I also wanted to mention about my personal rankings. I have everything at number one, but I have All Quiet at number two. This is a film that really has risen in the past couple of weeks, and it dominated the BAFTAs. I moved Fablemans down to third place.
The BAFTAs was
Yeah.
I
have Banshees in second and Fablemans in third. Although Fablemans at this point might be fourth or fifth.
Yeah, Fablemans at the BAFTAs was a head scratcher. It got one nomination for
Screenplay.
Unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the All Quiet on the Western Front, impressive. I had that in a lot of categories, so I'm patting myself on the back there. I'm gonna have good odds if it gets in. If the Oscars like it anywhere near as much as BAFTA did. For Best Director, our odds have still Steven Spielberg up at number one, even though The Fablemans hasn't done as well other places. But we have Daniels, Everything Everywhere All at Once at two. Martin McDonagh, The Banshees of Inisherin. Todd Field for Tar, and Edward Berger has now taken over fifth place for All Quiet on the Western Front. James Cameron has moved down to a possible spoiler for Avatar: The Way of Water. Ray, what do you think about this race?
My top five is Spielberg, Daniels, Cameron, Martin McDonagh, and Baz Luhrmann. I don't think Todd Field is getting in, even though I think his film is. I don't think Edward Berger is getting in, which I know is probably not a popular sentiment among this room. And I don't think Sarah Polley or Gina Prince Blythe would either. That's where I think a lot of the gender diversity, is not going to necessarily play out. I feel like that'll play out more in the screenplay odds and in the screenplay nominees. But I still think, as much as the BAFTAs kind of gave Spielberg the heave ho, not so the same at the Oscars, where I think there's still the prevailing belief that he's overdue after 24 years without a win.
Daniel, how about you?
I've got those five, which is boring, but I will, in my defense, I did put Edward Berger in my top five before he was in the top five in our odds, so I helped get him there. So
I have 100 to 1 odds on Edward Berger. I've had him for
I
a
have
long
48 to 1 odds. So I have so I think I put him in like right as soon as the BAFTAs happened, and then he exploded. So yeah, I've got that five. I think I've got Daniels winning at this point, not just because they're my namesake, but because I feel like The Fablemans has been weaker than we thought it would be earlier in the season. But I do still have Spielberg in second, Martin McDonagh in third, Todd Field in fourth. I'm fairly confident about those four, at least the top three. Todd Field, I think I could see a scenario where he doesn't get in, but he's gotten in almost everywhere he needs to, so I've got him in there too.
The thing about Edward Berger is the Academy loves to nominate an international director. There's always someone that comes in unexpectedly. Now he's not so unexpected anymore. So we might see someone else come in. But Marcus, who do you have for your top five?
I think the safe thing to do is to always pick 4 of the DGA nominees and then kind of go your own way on the 5th. And so I'm matching with them on Daniels, Spielberg, McDonagh, and Field. And their 5th is Joseph Kosinski for Top Gun, which I just don't really see that happening for him. So I am going with Edward Berger, which I believe is the 5 that the odds have for the Oscars. So I guess I'm a little boring now, Ray. But I agree with everything you guys said about international directors always get in here, and he is the strongest of those contenders.
Yeah, it's been 4 years in a row now where we've had a non-English language film up for Best Director.
And I have the top 5 as well. So pretty boring. I have Todd Field in 5th. I do think he might be the most vulnerable. It'll be interesting to see how much the Academy likes Tar. And speaking of that, we'll move to Best Actress, where Cate Blanchett is in first place for Tar. followed by Michelle Yeoh, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Danielle Deadwyler, Till, Viola Davis, The Woman King, and Michelle Williams is holding on at The Fablemans with a possible spoiler of Ana de Armas. I held on to Michelle as long as I could. And last night in the wee hours, I was like, you know what? I just have to go with logic now. I can't keep holding on to what I want or think will happen. The BAFTA was one thing, but the combination of BAFTA and the SAG Awards for Ana de Armas made me just include her in the top 5. So right now I have Kate, Michelle, Viola, Danielle, and Ana de Armas. Marcus, how about you?
I do still have Michelle Williams. I moved her down to 5th place, and I could really see the scenario where she gets in for supporting, and I would hate not to predict that because a few people are predicting that, but not a lot of people are. So I want to be able to call that on Oscar morning, a nominations morning, but I haven't made the move quite yet. So Michelle Williams is in my 5th place. I have Michelle Yeoh winning, and this is probably one of my biggest passion picks of the year. The others in supporting actress. I want her to win so bad that it's clouding my judgment. I have Cate Blanchett in 2nd, Danielle Deadwyler in 3rd, and the great Viola Davis in 4th place.
Ray, how about you?
This is my big crazy pick category. I drank the Andrea Riseborough Kool-Aid, and I feel like she's gonna get the 5th pick. That's my prediction. I saw the film. She is phenomenal, and it's not a real showy performance. It's just a straight ahead, incredibly strong and passionate performance. And I want to be on the record in case the shock happens. Well, I foresaw it.
And it's all about her. I mean, she is the whole movie. I saw it as well.
Right.
It's fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. It's totally all about her. I think that Cate Blanchett is still going to win, even though I would love to see Michelle Yeoh win. And the rest of the category, I'm looking at Danielle Deadwyler and Ana de Armas. I don't think Viola is getting in, and I don't think Michelle Williams is getting in, which could be way off. And obviously, no Margot Robbie or Olivia Colman either. But I feel like the chance for an upset is there, and but that's Michelle. No one else. There's no way Andrea is going to win or Anna. The win will be for their nomination.
Yeah, I have Kate winning right now, but I could see a scenario where Michelle wins, obviously. That could be a passion pick. And Cate Blanchett, she's very much like Meryl Streep, where we know the Academy loves her, but Meryl has a losing record. She's been nominated 1,000 times, but she doesn't win most of them because, she's always acknowledged. And I feel like Cate Blanchett is sort of our generation's Meryl Streep, if there is one. I think she's pretty much the most celebrated actress of our time, or if not, then way up the list. Daniel, what's your prediction in this category?
I've got Cate Blanchett winning at the moment, and then I've got Michelle Yeoh in 2nd place. Those are the only 2 I feel like are locks for nominations. Everyone else, there's a scenario where they miss. But I've got Danielle Deadwyler, Viola Davis, and Ana de Armas. I was resisting Ana de Armas also. And, just thinking, how many people are going to sit through Blonde? It's a very tough sit. The critics did not like the movie. So it's an even tougher sit. So it's like, but the BAFTA voters sat through it, and the SAG nominating committee sat through it, and so why wouldn't the Oscars? Or if they didn't sit through it, they nominated her anyway. And it's a phenomenal performance. So of anything to be singled out from that movie, it should be her. But yeah, I'm still not confident, but everything is telling me Ana de Armas is not one of the weaker contenders in this category. So I'm going with her. But yeah, I can see Michelle Williams still getting in here or getting into supporting.
I just think Michelle had too much category confusion this year. People are just going to throw their hands up and go, sorry.
It reminds me a little bit of The Departed, where Leonardo DiCaprio had the all that category confusion with Blood Diamond that year, and it ended up The Departed only got an acting nomination for Mark Wahlberg. This year, it could be The Fabelmans getting its only acting nomination for Paul Dano, which would be so like unusual given that film.
But it's passion votes. It's like who are they putting at number one on their ranks when they're submitting their ballots? And even if people didn't like the film Blonde, Ana de Armas, all she needs is that one group of people that have enough passion to put her at the top of their ballot, and she's in. And maybe Michelle Williams just doesn't have that same passion vote for her film. On the other hand, once you're in, you're sort of in with the Academy. And Michelle Williams having been a previous nominee, there's a good chance they'll just give her another nomination, because it seems like once you get a couple, they just tend to start racking up. So we're not counting Michelle out. Let's talk about Best Actor. Our top 5 right now are Brendan Fraser in The Whale, Colin Farrell, The Banshees of Inisherin, Austin Butler, Elvis, Bill Nye Living, and Paul Mescal, After Sun. The spoiler is still Tom Cruise, but Tom Cruise just keeps missing and missing. So I don't know how much of a spoiler that's going to be. I don't feel like that's an Oscar performance that's going to be recognized, but I have this top 5. I'm fully on board with the top 5, but I don't. The 5th slot is very confusing for me. I have Paul Mescal, but I don't know. What do you have, Daniel?
I have those top 4 and Paul Mescal as my 5th. I've had that hunch for a little while. I'm not super confident in it. It could go any number of different directions. We were talking about Michelle Williams potentially being nominated in supporting. Who knows? Maybe they'll put Brendan Gleeson in lead, since that last slot is so wide open for Best Actor. We saw like a couple of years ago, Lakeith Stanfield and Daniel Kaluuya were both considered supporting actors somehow in Judas and the Black Messiah. So they can do absolutely anything they want. But yeah, I think the top 4 are pretty secure, like Fraser, Farrell, Butler, Nye. There's really no one who has really challenged the supremacy of those 4. It's really just been about that 5th spot. And so I've got Mescal in there. I do think Adam Sandler has a ghost of a chance after he got that SAG nomination. But I'm not predicting it. So that's my thought.
Marcus.
I do have Brendan Fraser winning, and after that amazing Critics' Choice speech he gave, that came at the perfect time. We all know why he didn't win the Golden Globe. There was some controversy there, but I think he won the Critics' Choice. I think he's going to win SAG, and I think he'll win the Oscar. In 5th place, I do have Tom Cruise. I mean, we know they watched Top Gun. We know Top Gun's going to get a lot of nominations, including Best Picture. Have the voters seen After Sun? That's my question. Are they putting in that DVD? Are they watching it on the portal, the Academy portal? I don't know. I guess we'll find out on Oscar morning, nominations morning. But I do have Tom Cruise in that 5th spot. And why is everyone so convinced Bill Nye is getting in? I mean, I know he
hasn't missed.
Yeah, he's hit every field. He's got
any other year.
It's pretty consistent.
In any other year, he might not get in. But this year, I just don't see who knocks him out. Tom Cruise, and Paul Mescal would be a weird thing if both of them got in and not Bill Nye.
And it's just not the strongest Best Actor year. I mean, it's really not.
No.
It's Living is such a quiet movie, but I mean,
right.
He has consistently hit every precursor he needs.
This for me is a really exciting actor year because you have the 3. It could be a 3-man race, and then the other 2, I put Bill Nye kind of at the bottom, along with Tom Cruise and Paul Mescal.
Yeah, I actually have Austin and Brendan at the top, and Colin in 3rd, just because Colin isn't. I mean, he won his Golden Globe, but I feel like Brendan is the favorite and Austin is the most transforming. So those are my top 2. Ray, what do you have in this race?
I vacillate between this being a 2-man race and a 3-man race. I pretty much agree with you and Daniel that it's going to be Brendan Fraser, Austin Butler, Colin Farrell, Bill Nye, and Paul Mescal. And I have Brendan winning. but I can absolutely be convinced of Butler's winning. In fact, this is going to be very close, I have a feeling. Historically, the Academy has really loved actors and actresses playing iconic musical figures from the past.
Yeah.
And Austin is right there. You also can't discount the sympathetic factor of Lisa Marie Presley's recent death. I mean, I know it's a little bit weird to bring that up as a possible help for him, but I think it certainly has Elvis in everyone's mind, the fact that she so tragically passed at 54 last week. So but I feel like Brendan Fraser also gave the performance of the year and did have that amazing speech at the Critics' Choice. So this is going to be it's going to be very close. But by the same token, I feel like the nominees, the first four, Fraser, Butler, Farrell, and Nye are pretty safe. And Mescal, like you guys say, is the wild card.
And nobody cares about Brendan Fraser losing the Golden Globe. We sort of knew that was going to happen. There was the whole controversy, so that doesn't matter at all. I have those top five getting in, but as far as who wins, I'll probably just go with who wins the SAG award at this point. And if there's a SAG-BAFTA split, that might give me a little bit of pause, but we'll see.
What would have happened at the Globes if Austin Butler and Elvis were in the comedy musical categories? Because it's basically a musical. I mean, do you think Butler would have beat Farrell? Because Farrell won the comedy.
I do. I absolutely do.
Yeah,
they love musicals more than they love comedies. Yeah, and having a dramatic musical would probably have given Austin Butler the edge.
And they love young stars.
Yeah, and then Brendan Fraser would have won probably the drama film.
They should just take musical out of the category at the Golden Globes. It's so ridiculous. I mean, if Elvis isn't a musical, then how many of them are? You're not going to have too many, like redos of West Side Story.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I think of a musical, though, is when you break out in song to progress the story, not like a concert performance. So I think it was a drama that just had music, but I agree that maybe they should just get rid of the name musical in the category altogether, because not all musicals are comedy. Some are the opposite of that. Let's talk about Best Supporting Actress. Our frontrunners are Carrie Condon for the Banshees of Inisherin, Angela Bassett, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever, Jamie Lee Curtis, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Hong Chow, The Whale, and Stephanie Hsu, Everything Everywhere All at Once. Spoiler, Daniel De Leon, Triangle of Sadness. Marcus, we know who you want to win.
Marcus was there from the beginning with the dark horse, who is now the favorite.
Yeah, this is
second in our odds. She's still number 2 in our odds.
And that's so wrong.
I'm not really sure why she's winning everything.
I think a lot of people haven't updated yet, but this is the category I have an unhealthy fanaticism for. It's my neighbors will be calling an ambulance on Oscar night if she wins or if she loses. Like ambulances will be called. I don't really know what I can add that I haven't already said. I guess I'll run through my list. I have Angela at number 1. Jamie Lee Curtis at number 2, Stephanie Hsu at number 3. I put Carrie Condon at number 4 because she hasn't won anything yet. And like you just mentioned, she is number 1 in the odds. So I am trying to lower those odds. I'm being a little strategic here. And Hong Chow I have getting in for The Whale because a lot of times we see when they really love a lead performance, a supporting person comes along kind of like a carry-on. And I think they love Brendan in The Whale so much that Hong Chow is going to get that carry-on nomination.
Yeah, I have Condon down in 3rd place as well, with Angela winning and Jamie Lee Curtis. I have Dolly De Leon in 4th place and Hong Chow. And I think another thing that's helping Hong Chow, I went to an event where I had the opportunity to speak with an Academy member, and I was just grilling her as much as I could. It's a straw poll of 1, so it's not that big of a deal. But she loved the menu. And and Hong Chow is so fantastic in the menu. Anyone who hasn't seen the menu, go watch the menu. I wish that was doing well. But but so she's got 2 films that people are loving her in, and I think that's going to help her as well. Ray, what do you think about this race?
Just as an aside, before I mention, we just talked about the menu, and it really is such a fun, great movie. You wonder why films like that are such crowd pleasers don't do better, in the at award season. You feel like it should. But in any case, I'm looking at pretty much pretty much straight down the line what, or more or less what our odds are saying. I have Angela winning, and then I have Carrie Condon, Hong Chow, Jamie Lee Curtis, and Dolly De Leon in 5th. I don't have Stephanie Hsu. I just feel like that category is not going to support 2 from the same film. If there's a dark horse, and I may switch this up before Tuesday, is Carey Mulligan, just because I loved She Said so much.
Yeah, me too.
And I feel like, even though it's more of a lead performance, I feel like she certainly deserves to be in here. I just don't know that she's going to have the juice to get there. But yeah, I think Marcus called this one. This is Angela's race to lose now. And I do want to see an ambulance go to his house. But I guess one way or another, that's happening.
I think the only person who could possibly beat her, if Michelle Williams gets in here, which is a strong possibility, I think the race will all of a sudden become Angela versus Michelle Williams. And then I don't know what would happen in that case.
I feel like there's times where people like get sick of watching someone win. And that's when like a surprise can leak in. I don't think anyone's sick of Angela winning. I think she's so beloved in the industry, and it's just something that she deserves. It's like Angela Bassett doesn't have an Oscar. How is that possible? So I think even if Michelle gets in here, I'm still probably going to pick Angela Bassett to win.
Yeah, and it's been 29 years since she had a nomination. So I mean, absolutely, this feels like a career achievement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she hasn't been nominated since before Dawson's Creek is how long it's been. Bassett was nominated.
Ridiculous. She should have been nominated for Waiting to Exhale. I mean, just for ripping all the coats out of the closet and setting the car on fire. I mean,
I love that meme of her walking away. The majority of people watching this video were not alive the last time Angela Bassett was nominated for an Oscar.
Wow.
Did I talk to everyone about this? Did I miss someone? Daniel?
No, I haven't gone through my 5 though. It's boring. I have the 5 in our odds: Bassett to win, Condon, Jamie Lee Curtis, Hong Chow, and Stephanie Hsu. I'm not confident about. Actually, I'm not confident about most of these. Like, even though I've got Angela Bassett winning, I can see a scenario where she doesn't get nominated just because of the nature of the film. Marvel Cinematic Universe hasn't gotten anyone nominated, not even the first Black Panther movie. So there's still a bit of a question mark for me. The only one I'm sure is getting in is Carrie Condon. But I have her in second because, no matter what, I don't think she can win this. Jamie Lee Curtis, if she gets in, it's weird for me to think of them not voting for Stephanie Hsu if they vote for Jamie Lee Curtis. And the SAG and BAFTA nominations convinced me about Hong Chow. I think The Whale could end up being like The Father this year, like this really slow build, and then all of a sudden it does better on Oscar morning than we were expecting. The thing with Hsu for me is that Jamie Lee Curtis just has that veteran factor that she doesn't have. So that's where I can see them going with Jamie Lee Curtis, but leaving Hsu out, because this is sort of a stacked category that could go a lot of different ways. And I loved Triangle of Sadness. That movie was divisive, but I would love to see Dolly De Leon get in here. Best Supporting Actor, Ke Huy Quan, Everything Everywhere All at Once, Brendan Gleeson, The Banshees of Inisherin, Paul Dano, The Fabelmans, Barry Keoghan in Banshees of Inisherin, Eddie Redmayne, The Good Nurse. And the spoiler is Judd Hirsch for The Fabelmans. So it would be interesting to get 2 Fabelmans supporting actors in. I don't see that happening. I am going with the top 5 here. Eddie Redmayne is getting in everywhere he needs to for the most part, and he got that BAFTA nomination. And the thing about that is he deserves it. The performance is so good and people love the movie. Now, the movie's not doing great in terms of nominations all over across the board, but it's not unheard of for one person to get in for a film. So I have those top five. Daniel, who do you have for your top five?
I have those top five, but I'm only confident about my top three, which is Ke Huy Quan, Brendan Gleeson, and Barry Coogan. I think those three are close to locks for nominations at this point. Paul Dano has been hit and miss. He did get in at the SAG Awards, but obviously The Fabelmans was almost a complete no-show at BAFTAs. He missed at the Golden Globes, so that it's really maybe not. And then Eddie Redmayne, I'm not entirely sure because we've seen before how someone will get what they need along the way, and then if they're the only major contender for their film, they just end up getting left off. I'm thinking Timothée Chalamet and Beautiful Boy and Jennifer Lopez and Hustlers.
Yeah.
Those would have been the only nominations for those films, and so I'm guessing the Academy just didn't watch those films because they didn't feel like they needed to before voting. And the question is whether enough voters watch The Good Nurse before voting. I think there's a better chance of that because Redmayne is so well known by them and because he is so charismatic on the campaign trail. So I've got him sticking it out. It's been a few years since his last nomination. I think they'd still like him.
Yeah. And he's a former winner and multiple time nominee. So again, once you're in that club, they tend to remember you. Ray, what about you?
Well, first off, I think Ke Huy Quan may be the biggest lock to win that I've seen in years. It would just be a huge upset if he doesn't win this category at this point. But in terms of nominees, I'm going with him, obviously. Brendan Gleeson, Barry Coogan. I have Ben Whishaw for Women Talking and Paul Dano, but I think I might swap out Ben for Eddie. I go back and forth on that. And Eddie Redmayne was phenomenal in The Good Nurse. But I don't think Judd Hirsch is getting in here either. I just think I'm not a big fan of one scene performances, and he just had the one scene, even though it was a great scene. And I know Brad Pitt has been on the upswing, but I don't see that happening either. And again, it's all, it's all kind of elementary in terms of who the nominees are because we know Ke Huy Quan is winning.
Yeah, it's interesting. Brad Pitt was. I wrote an article 2 days ago about how Brad Pitt cracked the top five in our odds, and then BAFTA happened, and then Brad Pitt dropped to seventh, and Eddie Redmayne moved up to fifth. So I wrote another article. We'll see if I write another article in the next 2 days before the Oscar nominations happen. So yeah, I think that fifth spot is almost as variable as Best Actor.
Interesting that none of us are bringing up Tom Hanks at all for Elvis, which critics have gone so back and forth on that, but I guess he's not really even considered a serious contender now.
I did, I was on the Tom Hanks train. I was the only one on that train for a while, but when he didn't get in it anywhere, I mean, I think the best he did was the BAFTA long list. I did have to take him out.
Seems like a better bet for A Man Called Otto now than for Elvis.
Yeah.
And he's not a good bet for either, really.
Give a shout out to our boss, Tom O'Neill. He's been on the Eddie Redmayne train since the beginning. And a lot of people didn't believe it, but now Daniel just said, he's in our top five now. I still don't have him in my predictions. In fifth place, I have Brad Pitt. He did get in at the Golden Globes, but then again, the Globes loved Babylon. I mean, it got a comedy picture nomination in Diego Calva and Margot Robbie, and it won score. So we haven't seen that love for Babylon at any other awards show. So maybe I should, rethink this category. But I mean, like you all said, we know who's winning this. So does it really matter who the other four nominations go to?
Yeah, I've had Redmayne since the beginning as well. I think I have him at 100-1 odds just because he's practically a lead in the film, and
Yeah.
it's transformative. It's all the things that you want in an Oscar nomination. And best adapted screenplay. Now this is interesting because we're going to find out how the Academy receives Women Talking. It is still number one for best adapted screenplay in our odds, followed by Glass Onion, The Whale, Living, and She Said. And moving up to spoiler alert status is All Quiet on the Western Front, which is just skyrocketing in all of our categories. It could be in the top 5 by the time this video airs. So keep checking the odds. After that BAFTA performance, it's going up in all categories. Daniel, what do you think about best adapted screenplay?
I've got Women Talking getting nominated. I think it's going to be nominated here, regardless of how it does elsewhere. Just because the way the award season has shaped up, most of the top Best Picture contenders are original screenplays. And, some of the ones that are adapted, like Avatar and Top Gun, those are like action films and they're not really scripting focused. So I've got to getting in. But I think The Whale with that PGA nomination is going to do better than we think. And I think that means it's going to win Best Adapted Screenplay right now. It's a very writerly kind of film. It was adapted from a play by the playwright. So it's reminiscent of The Father again. And so I've got it winning. And then Women Talking, Glass Onion, I put in All Quiet on the Western Front, and then on the bubble I have Living. I think the top 3 I'm confident in, and All Quiet and Living I'm not as confident in. All Quiet just because it's a war film and maybe people won't give it as much credit for the script.
Marcus, how about you?
I think there's 3 screenplays that can win this. I do have Glass Onion out front right now. I have All Quiet at number 2, and I have Women Talking at number 3. This will be Sarah Polley's nomination, and she just won the Critics' Choice Award for this category. So, she already has a trophy, and will she get 2? I don't know what to pick of those 3. I think it's going to be one of those. Glass Onion, I'm not even predicting to get a Best Picture nomination, and so maybe I need to rethink what I have at number 1. Does anyone know what the last time something won a screenplay that was not even nominated for Best Picture? It's probably been a while. But rounding out
the last one I can think of, though there might have been one more recent, was Eternal Sunshine.
My favorite movie of all time. And rounding out my top 5, I have She Said and I have The Whale.
Okay. Ray, how about you?
This is one where I'm going with my heart instead of my head. I loved She Said so much better than voters seem to. I just think it was a terrific film, every bit as good as Spotlight that won Best Picture some years back. And I have that number 1 here, and I have it winning. Although, again, my head tells me that's probably wrong. I do have Women Talking. I have The Whale. I have All Quiet. And I wasn't sure what to put for number 5. I could throw Glass Onion in there. Right now I have Bones and All in. But it could be Glass Onion, could be Living. But this is, as I think Daniel said, not as competitive a category as original. And I feel like this top 5 could have a number of different configurations and still work out.
And one more thing I wanted to say about Glass Onion is it's the most original of anything that we've mentioned in this category. And there is this stupid rule: if you're a sequel, you have to go to adapted, right? But this really should be in the conversation for original. And I wonder if that will help it because it is so out there and inventive. I think there will be people that respect that.
I think it'll be the first time a film franchise gets original then adapted screenplay nominations. I don't think that's happened before.
I'm actually with Ray here. I left Glass Onion completely off. I'm not predicting it to even be nominated. I don't think it'll get nominated for anything. I just don't think the Academy is going to embrace it. It didn't get nominated at BAFTA. I mean, you have Daniel Craig, who is a huge star. BAFTA ignored it. So at least for screenplay. So I I have currently Women Talking, All Quiet on the Western Front, which I think could actually win. She Said, The Whale, and Living. Those are my top 5. We can move on to original screenplay, where Everything Everywhere All at Once has taken the lead over Banshees of Inisherin, The Fabelmans, Tar, and Triangle of Sadness, with a spoiler of Aftersun. So there is another place where Aftersun could get in, other than Paul Mescal. So if there is some love for that film, that could. I actually have the top 5 here. Yeah. So I'm pretty boring. Ray, what do you have?
I have the top 4: Everything, Banshees, Fablemans, Tar, and then I have the spoiler After Sun that I put in 5th. I don't think Babylon is getting in. I don't, I would love to see The Menu crack this list somehow, but probably not going to happen. And I feel like this is a pretty good favorite to win for Everything Everywhere. It'll be interesting to see how well the film does with the Oscars. I mean, it's really started to pick up momentum, just like After Sun has picked up momentum, sort of out of nowhere. And sometimes you can't trust that maybe it's just a really good PR campaign that is behind it. But it's an interesting category and highly competitive.
Daniel?
I have the 5. I think Everything Everywhere and Banshees of Inisherin are going to be duking it out for the win. I currently have Everything Everywhere winning that. Then I think Tar and The Fabelmans are pretty safe. Even when the BAFTAs didn't like The Fabelmans, they still couldn't find enough screenplays to knock it out of Best Original Screenplay. So I think it's pretty safe there for that. That 5th slot, again, it's all about the 5th slots at these awards. A lot of it. I've got Triangle of Sadness. I had After Sun until recently, but then the BAFTAs happened, and even though Paul Mescal got in, the After Sun screenplay didn't get in. So and Triangle of Sadness did. So that feels like one of your kind of quintessential screenplay only nominees to me.
Marcus?
I have The Fabelmans safely in my number 3 spot, but number 1 and number 2, I don't know what to do. Like the Banshees of Inisherin won the Golden Globe. I forget what won the Critics' Choice. Was it Everything Everywhere?
Everything.
I think Everything Everywhere did, yeah.
So that's not helpful at all. If you ask me, the Banshees is more known for for being written, and Everything Everywhere is more known for being well directed. So I think that's how they may go. They may split these two. So Banshees could win screenplay, Everything could win director. So that's what I'm doing right now, but I may switch. And then I have Tar in 4 and Triangle of Sadness in 5th. I loved Triangle of Sadness. I would be predicting Dolly to get a nomination if she was in it more. I wanted more Dolly. She was only in the last third of the movie, and
she is basically a lead of that third.
Yeah.
Well, that's the last of the full predictions we're going to do in these categories. But in terms of all of them, there's going to be links to all of us and what our full list of predictions are in every category down in the article. So you can go check that out. Everything from best song to best animated shorts, all those categories that sometimes seem impossible to predict. But I'm curious before we go, if people want to, does anyone have long shots that you want to shout out in any category? Like for me, I have for best cinematography, one of my films that I have getting in is Elvis. Mandy Walker, she's not in our top 5. I think she wasn't even in our top 10 until recently. She would be just the 3rd woman to be nominated for best cinematography. And I think that would be pretty outstanding, and I think she really deserves it. Does anyone else have anything else that they think could slide in that is way outside the odds?
I'm taking. I also have actually Elvis in for best cinematography. That category is so wide open, and like, beyond Top Gun Maverick, I could see anything being in or out. And Elvis is probably going to do really well across the board. My big swings are in visual effects. I think, we're underestimating, just because no one liked Jurassic World Dominion, I think we're underestimating the visual effects. It got nominated by the Visual Effects Society. It has one of the films with the most effects. So I think that'll get in. I have a hunch there. I could be just completely misplacing that. And visual effects, there's almost always one film that you wonder how it got in, and then you're like, oh yeah, that has a lot of visual effects in it. And,
Visual effects, it does not matter how good the movie is. It really does matter how good the visual effects are. One of the things I have in visual effects also as an outside shot is I have Nope in there. Now I forgot his name. The visual effects person, he's a 2-time Oscar winner, and even though they're sort of supporting, the visual effects in that movie I think are really original and could stand out. So I have Nope getting in for visual effects.
Didn't we talk to him at a party and he said like even the clouds were visual effects? Like things in that movie are visual effects that you don't know are. I guess the one that comes to mind in terms of a shocking nomination that a lot of people aren't predicting for best score, All Quiet on the Western Front is down in 7th place. And maybe it's because I interviewed Volker. Maybe I listened to that score on its own. But I think it's getting in. It's a very recognizable score if you've seen that movie.
I have it in too. I agree with you.
I think people maybe need to relook at that category before nominations come out.
This isn't really necessarily a surprise or a long shot, but I feel like RRR is gonna probably get a Best Song nomination and possibly win. And I feel like it could do better in terms of, I mean, not a directing nomination, but Best Picture. I would not be completely shocked if it slips in. Having seen this live at the Chinese Theater in IMAX presentation, where basically it was a dance party. The film is a phenomenon, and I think we might be underestimating how well it could be on the minds of Academy voters too.
Yeah. And the actors and directors are very charming on the campaign trail. So they're doing a fantastic job.
Yeah, you did some great interviews with them, Deb.
Representing the film. Okay, let's wrap it up there. Everyone watching, again, we're going to have links to all of our picks down in the article, so you'll see what we're picking in all 23 categories. The nominations come out on January 24th at 5:30 a.m. Pacific time. They always make us get up so early. Not so bad for Daniel on the East Coast. A reasonable 8:30.
It's pretty bad. No, it's pretty bad for me on the East Coast. I'm not a morning person.
So check out those, and we'll come back and do some reactions to those, I'm sure. And Tuesday will be a busy morning, a busy day for all of us, but we'll be excited to see, who's actually in this race once and for all. And we'll have plenty of Slugfest coming after that. So everyone, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.